The trip was absolutely fantastic. Got to see some incredible things throughout Japan. The best thing about it was the people I met. Japan is a wonderful place, but it's wonderful because of the people. And that really is what made the trip what it was. Well, with any luck, in a few weeks I'll be in Kyushu, so Thursday morning, September 20th, and I'm going to attempt to cycle through Japan, through the island of Shikoku, well, Honshu, Shikoku, and then Kyushu. So it's 1,000 miles, so probably a little over 1,000, and on my way. 2,319 kilometers in total. It was, even for myself sometimes, a little hard to believe. I mean, it's not a hard thing to do, but the fact that within a 3-week period, in less than a 3-week period, I was able to ride that far. With a fully loaded touring bike through some very, very difficult mountainous terrain. The reason that this trip was sort of important to me was that I enjoy traveling through Japan. I had seen a lot of Honshu by bicycle. I've seen all of Okinawa by bicycle. I've seen most of Hokkaido by bicycle. I had never been to Shikoku or Kyushu, whether it be by bicycle, car, or train. I've never been there. And liking Japan as much as I do, I thought, I want to see this country by bicycle. It's the ultimate way to see it. I mean, you can't possibly see the things that you see on a bicycle. You can't possibly see them when you're racing by in a car or a train, or especially a plane, because you're just kind of cruising along a little faster than the people walking. It's you're very intimate with the road. You're very intimate with the countryside as you cycle through the cities, the mountains, the fishing villages, the small mountain villages. That you just can't do it any other way. You can't fully experience Japan really any other way. There were many times during the trip that I felt this natural high, this exhilaration of like, wow, I'm doing it. And it was actually, I experienced that many times, so it's really hard to pinpoint any one time that was the best. But one time in particular I do remember was when I took the ferry. It was the day that I left Nagasaki, and leaving Nagasaki was tough. Nagasaki is a city of hills, and there's no easy way to get out of it by bicycle. You're just climbing and descending and climbing and descending, and it was like that for most of the morning until about noon. Until I finally hit some flat area, and I cycled to a ferry called, I think it was Ariake Ferry, and I took that over to the Kumamoto prefecture. And once I got there, because that was sort of the beginning of the final leg of my journey, it was sort of exhilarating because I was able to, it was nice, flat, I had a bit of a tailwind, and I'm just cycling and the sun is setting low, and it was like a painting, and a mountain backdrop, and here I am just cruising along. I really had covered a lot of ground that day, and it's one of these times when you say, man, it just doesn't get any better than this, Well, here I am at Cape Sata, the very southern tip of mainland Japan. I've traveled over 2,000 kilometers from Tokyo, through the cities, the mountains, the villages, and the fishing villages. Hundreds and hundreds of roads over the past several weeks, but they've all taken me to this one place, the very southern tip of mainland Japan, Cape Sata in Kyushu. Arriving at Satamasaki was really an accomplishment for several reasons, because that was it. That was as far as you can go, mainland Japan. You cannot go any further south. And those, like I said, those last few kilometers were the toughest. I mean, we're talking major hills. It took me over an hour to go the last 6 kilometers. And there was a point where you couldn't even take the bike any further. You had to walk. It was just that rough. Because it turns into a trail. You have to go through a tunnel and then a trail and steps. But I remember just kind of looking out over the very southern cape there and thinking, wow, I mean, I am so far from Camp Zama right now, so far from everywhere, really. And the landscape there is so different. I mean, you're so far south. It's really mostly banana trees and monkeys. It was incredible. It was very jungle-like. So you really know you're south when you see that sort of geography, that sort of vegetation. This is still only the beginning. I plan on doing a lot more riding, a lot more just seeing places, seeing things. But really, Japan is about the people. For this trip, I will remember many things. I'll remember the kindness of strangers. I'll remember the policeman in Cape Sata who invited me in for crackers and juice and tea. I'll remember the policeman in Fuji City on my first day who insisted that I stay there at the police station because I'd be safe. I'll remember my friend Miyoshi, who invited me into his home to stay. I remember my friend Yuka and her husband Mitsuru and their 2 sons for the hospitality they showed me. I remember the man in Kumamoto who fixed my pedal at his motorcycle shop. I'd lost a screw. I wouldn't take any money. I remember the man who took me across the bridge. After hitchhiking for an hour, he took me across the bridge to the island of Shikoku because there was no bicycles allowed on the bridge. And he wouldn't take any money for the tolls. I remember many people along the way. And that's truly what it's about. People that wanted nothing in return, wouldn't take any money for helping me or doing something for me. And that's what the trip was about. That's what made the journey what it was. That's what I will always remember.